Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show. Our topic of discussion is making money despite the COVID-19 pandemic. Forbes said in the midst of a global lockdown, a new wave of creators have emerged to put what has been coined the creator economy front and center. The creator economy encompasses everything from professional creatives to first-time creators that are producing content as both a coping mechanism and a strategic business play. This content often comes in the form of videos, photography, writing, e-commerce, and online education. Joining us to discuss what he and his state is doing to generate revenue during this pandemic, we have
Sam Hart, who is the Director General of Abia State Marketing and Quality Management Agency. They've been doing so much lately. It's been so impressive. I saw a lot of it on social media. So he's joining us virtually. Yeah?
Yes, he is. Do we have Sam on the phone?
Hi, Osasu. Yes, you have Sam on the phone.
Hi, Sam. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Awesome. Sorry we couldn't get you on Skype. We're having a bit of technical difficulties. But first of all, let's just go ahead and congratulate you and the Abia state government as a whole for being able to generate such provisions for work in this, despite the economic lockdown and the pandemic. So tell me, what have you guys achieved so far in Abia State in terms of job creation and the development of PPEs?
Thank you very much, Osasu. Yes, this was, of course, from the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the governor of Abia State, Dr. Victor Igbinedion, he saw this path. He knew for some reason that this was going to be what would happen, as it were. And if he saw it as an opportunity for Abia to assert its preeminence as the indigenous production center of Nigeria and even beyond, with the right opportunities and with the right support. And he encouraged Abia creatives, Abia tailors, and in fact, Abia tailors as well.
Okay, Sam, we've learned that your state has produced at least 1 million masks since this pandemic started and also distributed it. It's interesting because we've also learned that the informal sector has been the most hard hit during... Hello, do we have Sam? Okay, I think we've lost him. Sam will join us back shortly, but... Okay, but also... So the informal sector, everyone has said, they've been the most hard hit. And this is globally. I read in the US just last week, 2.6 million people filed for unemployment benefit.
Additionally.
Now, when you come back to Nigeria, we already had unemployment at about 23% as of the end of 2018. How do you think this affects us?
I mean, like, the informal sector makes up the majority of the economy, right? So we have day-to-day earners, people who earn their living on a daily basis. I hear we have Sam back on the phone. You were in the middle of a question.
Yeah, so Sam, would like you to speak to us about how the informal sector specifically has been supported through employment. So the impact of what you're doing, how has that affected the informal sector and job creation?
Thank you very much, and sorry for the break in transmission.
That's okay.
For Nigerians. So yes, how this has translated to support for the informal sector is it's a ripple effect. Our reports for April showed that we had produced and distributed over 1 million face masks all around the country. We supplied to the northeast, the internally displaced people, and then a lot of NGOs, a lot of corporates, a lot of faith-based organizations have placed orders with us, and we have successfully delivered these orders, including military and paramilitary agencies all around the nation. We have been supplying centrally, which they have been using, not just face masks, but also medical essentials, PPEs, coveralls, and all that. So to answer your question directly, this leads, of course, to job creation. As of April, the report for April showed that we had put in 2,000 additional people into the workforce, and this is directly. we're not even quantifying the indirect effect it would have. We're using our state transport company to do the delivery. So you have over 200 drivers who are crisscrossing the country. They have exemption because they are supplying medical essentials, so they can pass through lockdown and curfew and roadblocks and all of that. So we are creating jobs. More than 300 million naira has been pumped into the economy all around from the activities that were created by this venture that we went into. And then families, of course, have food on the table, cash in their pocket, and it is a win-win all around. It is stimulating the economy. It is helping boost the GDP, not just of the city of Abia, not just of the state of Abia, but even Nigeria as a whole. So just one visionary move by the governor. This is the ripple effect that we have had out of it. And we are glad to be able to have this opportunity even in the midst of a pandemic.
So Sam, I am sure you're very familiar with the saying, when others are complaining, there's a casting down. A few would be celebrating, there's a lifting up. It seems that the good people of Abia State are celebrating that there's a lifting up, due to the fact that you're able to create, I think you said 2,000 additional jobs, for the good people of Abia State. So can you talk to me now about the business scalability, the scalability of this business? What do you intend to do moving forward? How do you intend to bring more people to benefit from this scheme that you're running? Hello, Sam? Oh, I think we lost Sam again. So, okay, apologies for the technical difficulty. I'm sure we'll get him back shortly. But yeah, I was just in the middle of asking him, what's the plan to expand? Because we know each state now is doing what they can to provide locally and to create jobs. But is there any interstate or interagency collaboration that can be explored down the line?
I think what they're doing is really great. And for us to actually scale it up, we need interstate cooperation. And so we don't always have to do the same thing where one state is doing ABC, the next state is still doing the same
They
ABC.
copy and paste,
Exactly.
yes.
And so if there can be a chain, just before the show, we're talking about how Morocco now has a daily production capacity of 10 million masks a day. And this is because they have 24 companies coming together to say, let's do this together, which also means they can export to the rest of Africa. Let's remember, Morocco is an African country, also close to Europe. So with what Abia State is doing, there's potential for Nigeria to stand up once again to show that we're the leaders of Africa or West Africa by sending this, exporting to places like Ghana and other places.
Sam, thanks so much for joining us again. Can you hear me now?
My pleasure. Yes, I can hear you, Osasu.
Okay, I don't know if you had my question. I was asking about the scalability of this business plan. Do you have... Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes, I had a question about the scalability of the business plan and everything that we're doing now so that it's not, a flash in the pan and it can be sustained even in the aftermath of the pandemic, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, great. So even before the COVID pandemic hit major, the Abia State Governor, Dr. Igbinedion, had already approved for the setting up of a large, garment factory here in Abia, but not your conventional factory. What this basically does is a center of excellence for all equipment and machinery used in the garment industry. Of course, we already have that for the shoe industry in Abia. So we wanted to scale that to also the garment industry, where all the cotton machines, industrial level, of course, all the sewing machines, all the various components used in garment making, the machinery at an industrial scale will be available here in Abia. And of course, this has a ripple effect of additional creation, additional job creation. You have certainty of orders and uniformity too. And then Abia being Abia, the opportunity too for technology transfer, because Abia being who they are, when they see those equipment, they will replicate it locally and will also have the same thing going on. So we do not intend we do not intend to waste the crisis, as they usually say. We intend to take full advantage of this. We intend to maximize what we can from this, and then create the capacity to be able to still be in play, even when the borders are open, even when people have the option of importing from China. What we're trying to do is to ensure that you do not patronize us simply because you're trying to, do a token patronization of local products. You will patronize us because we're good. You patronize us because our product competes competitively, as the case may be, with whatever you would have gotten abroad. So that is the strategy for ensuring that even after this pandemic, we can still be looked at in the long run. Osasu.
Sam, it's great that you spoke about the technology, because we still suffer from the fact that a lot of the machinery we use and even raw materials they still need to be imported into Nigeria. So it's good that you touched that topic. Now, but beyond the pandemic, we have seen that before this, you were working. There was the Abia rice that we saw packaging and production being put in place. Can you speak to other sectors of small businesses which you feel Nigeria as a whole can benefit from if we focus on? So other sectors beyond the healthcare and the garment factory, garment production.
Thank you. These things they need to be systematically improved upon, as the case may be. We all talk about China today, and China is the world's manufacturing factory, as the case may be today. But they weren't always like that. It was, initially they started, and everybody thought what was coming from China was fake. But today, the whole world relies on China for their manufacturing. And the only way that could happen was because people kept going back to give them that chance. And they kept, in fairness to them, they kept improving their game too. At a point, you couldn't touch a Chinese vehicle because, it just wasn't both aesthetically and performance-wise. But today, you go to China and you see really beautiful, aesthetically pleasing cars. And then their performances are also top-notch. And this just goes to say that, practice makes for improvement. It is when things are done repeatedly, it is when you encourage someone, when you patronize your local industry, you are building their confidence and you are strengthening them to scale, to be able to do better and to be able to improve on what they are doing. So that is what we are looking at. Thank you for mentioning Abia rice. Yes, we've always had rice, and again, the governor's ingenuity comes in here. We've always had rice in Abia, but what was happening was that it was being milled in other states, and it was being counted because the rice production parameter is that a rice is counted for where it is milled, not necessarily where it is planted. So you can plant, 1,000 bags of rice, but so long as it is milled in a neighboring state, it is counted as the quota of that state. So the governor was in some remote village one day and saw women carrying bushels of rice on their head on foot to go to a neighboring state to go and mill. And he decided that had to stop. So he set up 5 rice mills in Abia State last year, and by November, December last year, we were able to be internally self-sufficient in rice, and then that's why there was a lot of, we brought up the Abia rice thing, which thankfully my agency was also responsible for marketing and pushing out into the market. So this same skill can be replicated in all sectors, just like you said. It is look inwards. What do you have? What can you do with what you have? How can you improve upon it? How can you build upon what you've been doing, precept upon precept, line upon line, and with the support of the people who can also look inwards and support you. Again, I must thank, I hope I'm allowed to, my sister Toyosi Akerele of the Victim Support Fund. She has been our major supporter, and most of the things they have ordered at the Victim Support Fund has been from us here in Abia State during the period of this pandemic. Kudos to the Nigerian military. They have ordered 50,000 boots from us. They have been ordering vehicles from Innocent Manufacturing, and then they've been talking to us, even these face masks and all of these things. So the more institutional organizations look inwards, the more corporates look inwards, the more our first option should not be import. Our first option should be ask the local guys to produce this. If it fits what you're looking for, then you can replicate. And we want to encourage people to please look inwards and support indigenous production.
Sam, there's no doubt that the people of Abia State are very enterprising. Nigerians as a whole, we have such a high youth population. We have a lot of entrepreneurs living in the country. But I want to know, so put aside your hat now as the DG Abia State Marketing and Quality Management Agency. Think of... You're working for Nigerians now. So what is your advice, with your marketing expertise? What is your advice for the ordinary Nigerian sitting at home who has received his or her dismissal letter from their company saying your services are no longer needed? How does that person start to create an avenue where he or she can make money for themselves? What do they need to do? We've seen how you brilliantly marketed your state on this show. We'll send you guys an invoice.
Yes, we will.
And also on social media, which you do every single day. You're always pumping out information. It's either Abia rice or
their shoes,
or your shoes, or you standing with the vice president holding up, a cloth trying to market it to him. So you've done a phenomenal job. But now I need you to work for Nigerians, not just Abia people. All right. So what advice do you have for the ordinary Nigerian who has now looked at this new digital economy and is saying, okay, how do I fit into this new picture that this pandemic has created? My skills are no longer needed. I no longer am required to go to a brick and mortar institution every single day to share my expertise. But now I'm stuck in my house on my computer. What can I do? So what's your advice for a person like that who's watching?
Thank you, Osasu. You will also let me know where to send my invoice for the service I'm about to render to the whole of Nigeria. But thank you. On a more serious note, and I say this, and sometimes it sounds like it is my privilege speaking, but it is actually a fact, and it is something that has worked for me. Osasu, the honest truth is that if we look around us, there is honestly always something that we can do. That is the honest truth. So long as we do not have an entitlement mentality, believing that someone owes us something or someone is supposed to be the one to come and do something for us, if you honestly, truly look around you and find a need, there must always be a need that you can feel, and then you must have the capacity to reinvent yourself. You cannot be static. You must always be looking at what's the next thing that needs to be done. Even in the midst of all of this activity that we have going on, we are rolling out PPEs by the day. We are rolling out face masks by the day. Our delivery vehicles are leaving daily for different parts of the country. This is not the destination. This is a path. So we are already looking at what's the next thing. The governor is daily, everybody tells me I'm doing well. He tells me, well, I don't know what you're saying because I can only give you 40% because you don't have to relax. You have to do more. I mean, he's an academic, so he's very stingy with his marks, So he has been stingy with his marks for me, and that's okay. That pushes me to keep pushing. So the honest truth to answer your question is, even in the midst of this pandemic, there are opportunities, there is a lockdown, there are logistic opportunities, there are creative opportunities. Even with our smartphone, we must learn how to, like I said, reinvent ourselves, study. There are lots of free courses and seminars, Harvard, name them. They've all put up their programs online for free. So instead of using our device for socials, for Twitter, for Facebook, and there is no problem with that, but instead of just using those apps for bantering and for just kicking and playing with friends, these things can also be converted to financial tools, as the case may be. You've rightly mentioned that I'm always on social media marketing, and everybody is aware of what I'm doing. I wasn't playing on social media. It was my work I was doing, and it was advertising my product I was doing. Start with your immediate family. Start with your immediate friends. You can find something that they need that you can provide. The scriptures say that the Lord will bless the works of your hand. They didn't say the Lord will bless you. They said the Lord will bless the works of your hand, which presupposes that your hand needs to be doing something for God to find something to bless. So our youth should, not just sit back, lay back, be looking at which politician is supposed to have helped them, that has not helped them, or which uncle is abroad, or which, uncle is in a top ministry or something. That we should all stake a claim to our place on the table, to our seat at that table, by finding something for our hands to do. Now, it may not be where you position yourself or where you see yourself or where you think you ought to be, because we have a lot of days with our youth who feel they want to get where you are without putting in the work that you've put in. Osasu, you've done this for years. You've knocked on doors and you've walked on pavements, and you are here today. But then, unfortunately, a number of people do not want to put in that same work. They just want to wake up one morning and be where you are. There must be a process. You must put in the work. And putting in the work sometimes starts small. Sometimes it starts beneath where you think your level is, but you must be able to find something doing around you, and there is always something.
That's brilliant. Sam Hart, DG, Abia State Marketing and Quality Management Agency, thank you so much for joining us in today's program.
Thanks for having me. My pleasure.
You're most welcome. We'll take a short break right now. When we return, more on The Weekend Show. Don't go anywhere.